Hello, friends. Today we are going to be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 3. There should be a warning in this video that this is probably going to be a little bit chaotic just because I do have some notes to sort of guide me, but at the same time, I'm sort of just gonna talk about whatever comes to my mind. And so, the order of things. Of course, it's gonna get messy. It's gonna probably have some Angel spoilers in the midst. So, I would not recommend watching this video if you haven't seen Angel. I guess we should talk about season 3. Like I said, my notes. I did try and take some notes. I'll blur it out so that you guys don't actually get to read what I wrote because it's just a mess. But yeah, I got this, and I guess I got a little bit of this too. Not quite sure where to start, but I'm just excited because this was such a fun season, and I'm just really looking forward to unpacking it. And this is just, that sort of informal video where we're just sitting down and speaking about Buffy because I do love me some Buffy. I guess the first thing that I want to talk about is something that I feel like it was asked in the Q&A that I did for Patreon, and I feel like this is a question that, personally, if I was watching the video, I would be curious to know, which is if I preferred season 2 or season 3. Well, I mean, I guess season 1 should be in the mix, but I feel like it's pretty obvious that season 1 was my least favorite of the three first seasons. But then when it comes to season 2 and season 3, when somebody asked me this, I was actually very puzzled. I feel like I don't have a right answer because I feel like individually season 3 has better episodes, and I feel like there's no doubt about that. What they did with The Wish and Doppelgangland and those kind of things. There's just no comparison to it in season 2. I feel like, season 3 just had such iconic episodes that just blew my mind in so many ways. Lover's Walk was so great. So there were just so many strong episodes, and I feel like it just kept getting stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, season 2, it definitely felt like it had more of its ups and downs. And I did say, because I actually put myself through the pain of watching my season 2 recap video because I was like, I truly don't remember what I said, and I feel like it would be fun to sort of compare it a little. And it's been so long since I've seen season 2. This is a very weird thing for me because, it would be really easy to do these sort of videos if I had just binge watched the entire season. Well, maybe not that easy because I wouldn't have noticed as many things, but I just mean that, it's been what, maybe 3 months, it takes me to watch each season. And so it's been 6 months since the beginning of season 2. I don't even remember that. And I guess it's also been a really long time since just the beginning of season 3. And so watching that video was just helping me to actually remember what the heck happened, because I feel like I forgot a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I have said this before. I don't have the best memory. So anyways, I put myself through watching my season 2 recap. I watched it at 2 times speed. I don't know how you guys can handle me talking. That's just annoying as fuck. But anyways, yes, I was watching my season 2 recap video, and I remember that I said that I thought season 3 was going to be more consistent because I feel like while season 2 had amazing episodes, it always sort of fell back. And I feel like there were just, in between, there were some not so great episodes. And I mean, I don't want to call them not so great. It's just objectively, they're not going to be as good as the other ones. I don't know, Surprise and Innocence being followed by, Bad Eggs and Ted. That kind of thing. And I feel like season 3 definitely had an upwards spiral where I was like, this episode was so good, so I guess the next one can't be as good, but it just kept getting better and better. And so that is something that I did not feel in season 2. I feel like season 2 was a little bit more inconsistent, and season 3 was just sort of blowing my mind. But what I did prefer about season 2, after giving it not that much thought, but I guess I think I preferred the season 2 Big Bad. And so I guess overall, I think I would have to say season 2. I would prefer season 2, just in the sense that I think Spike was so cool. I think that, the twists and turns of season 2, and maybe this is just because it's sort of it was the first time that we were really getting to see these characters, and the twist hit harder when you're not expecting them. And I feel like in season 3, you sort of already get to know what to expect from the show and those kind of things. But I feel like season 2, I vividly remember, this is something that I didn't even have to rewatch. I vividly remember calling it the season of shocks and saying that I thought I would regret this in later seasons. And listen, while there were so many moments in season 3 that, yeah, I was full on shocked, I feel like season 2 shocked me more. I guess I wasn't expecting so many shocks, and just the whole Angelus thing was just so unexpected to me. And so I guess in general, I would have to say season 3 has stronger episodes, season 2 has a stronger overarching theme and big bad. In my opinion, of course. Because listen, the mayor was also such a cool dude. I love that guy. His laughter, he's just so creepy. He's so weird. And Faith is also a really cool villain. So it's not to say that they weren't as good, but like, come on. Can you compete with Spike and Drew? I don't think you can. And I'm jealous, man. I just feel like, in general, I feel like I have a better understanding of the Buffy format now because, I spent so long searching for the big bad and being like monsters of the week. And I feel like now I'm just at a point. I have reached the point where I just want to watch the show and enjoy it and understand that there are going to be monsters of the week and there are going to be big bads. And it's not as like, I feel like I just try to overanalyze stuff sometimes just in the sense of let me find a format. What is the format? And I'm gonna try and be a little bit calmer about that. But it was a really great season. I remember I think it was when I saw The Wish. I was like, holy crap, what are they like what is this season? How are they doing this? Because I feel like I super expected sort of a bad episode after Lover's Walk because I was like, this episode is just so good that whatever comes next is not gonna be able to be as good or as cool. And then they were like, let's get a little wishy. And just like I said that I feel like I'm understanding the Buffy format better and just Buffy in general, I also feel like, I really understand that anything can happen in this show. I think they really push that idea, like how I was talking about the twists and turns. This is a show that really seems to really like work on that and work on really twisting your expectations and giving you what you think you want, or like giving you things that twisting your words and giving you things that you didn't want but making you think that you wanted them. Like there's just so much irony with so much of my commentary sometimes, and I catch it sometimes, of just the sense of like, I asked for this but I didn't mean it in this way, like asking for Faith to be involved in the show and then they just make her like a big bad. Like, why would they do that to me? um and also, I feel like I'm waiting to see who is going to be the season 4 villain, just because, you know, it seems like they have a theme going of making the good characters into bad people. It was Angel in season 2, it was Faith in season 3. Who is it going to be for season 4? I swear to God. Like, I don't know, but I'm worried, and I feel like now I'm sort of expecting somebody to, like, have a different, just have a switch inside and become bad. I don't know, but at the same time, because they've done it in season 2 and 3, it's very likely that season 4 is just gonna have another villain. And I don't even know if season 4 is gonna have that much of a big bad, because at the same time, I feel like in a way, I'm expecting season 4 to be very similar to season 1, just because I feel like everything's gonna be different. We're gonna be presented to like a whole new reality and a whole new side of Buffy, which I guess is why I was really not looking forward to watching the season 3 finale. I was really going through it, y'all. I was like, I don't want to finish High School Buffy. And so I guess I'm a little bit nervous about starting season 4, because I feel like everything is going to be so different, and I guess it's going to take some getting used to again. But I feel like it's going to be really fun because, of course, I've heard that, the next seasons are all amazing. And so I know that it's gonna keep being good, but I guess it's just gonna be weird and fun to see them in college. And so it would totally be understandable if they were focusing more on that and the world building, kind of how like they had to do in season 1, rather than actually focusing on a huge monster and like this sort of season 2 and season 3 style. Also, about the whole Faith thing, today I was going across Revelations, and I noticed that it feels like they alluded so much to that side of Faith in Revelations, and I would have never imagined that they would actually keep going down that route, because I remember yelling at her in Revelations and being like, Faith, get a grip, like, why is she doing this? And she felt so unhinged, when her and Xander was sort of let's kill Angel kind of thing. And I feel like, of course, Xander knows that he won't kill Angel. Like, he would never actually follow through with it. And I assumed that Faith similarly would not actually kill Angel, but I feel like Revelations really pushes that button where it's like maybe she actually would if Buffy wasn't there to stop her, if nobody stopped her. Who knows? She might have killed Angel. And so it's something that you wouldn't notice or read into, or at least I wouldn't when you're watching it on a first watch. But knowing what I know of Faith now, I can tell that Revelations was such a red flag. Like, Buffy, pay attention. This is like, there's something going on here. I guess we should talk a little bit about Faith, because she's a really interesting character. I was gonna say fun. She is fun. Have you guys seen Bad Girls? She's just really fun. I feel like I want to talk about Faith and just how my expectations of her were completely different than the reality of Faith. I guess when I met her, I was like surprised at how much of a bad girl she was, because I expected her to kind of be pushing it a little bit, but she was a lot more like, just I want to say like sure of herself, and just she had such a strong personality that I was expecting a little bit less. I expected her to have somewhat of, her own opinions and her own personality, but she was a lot more, she imposed her thoughts so much more and those kind of things. She took up a lot of space, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that was like different than I expected. And so it was a really interesting twist, because I feel like the more that I got to know her, I was like, cool, she's like a badass, and she just, enjoys slaying. Good for her. She's not like, kind of depressed like Buffy. And then, the twist of seeing that there are certain lines that she's not afraid to cross and all those kind of things. I feel like Faith just she really, I want to say that she changed, but I really don't think she did, because I feel like it's always been inside of her, all these feelings and all these thoughts, and I feel like she just tries to repress them in a way. She tries to focus on actually slaying the bad people and those kind of things. But I feel like at first I was so shocked with her snapping, because I was like, is this the Faith that I know? And I feel like, yes, it actually does add up to her character. It adds up to the depth of everything that has happened to her. She seems to have had not a great childhood from the very few things we know, and her adolescent years clearly don't seem to be so good. And then when she finally found a sort of family that I guess she wanted to bond with, the squad, they were keeping things from her. They were not including her as much as I guess they could have. And I really felt that, just in the sense that I really wanted Faith to be more present in certain episodes, and I was waiting for her, but they never seemed to really bring her in so much. And so I feel like, even though in a way it's obviously a shock that Faith becomes a bad person, I feel like it actually makes sense. The more that I think about it, the more it makes sense that she would snap like this. And I feel like it's gonna be gratifying once we actually get to see her sort of make up for it in a way. And I feel like we started seeing that in in Graduation Day Part 2, which I was really excited about, because, I've just been talking for so long that I was waiting for the moment where Faith was gonna like make a turn and actually help us, defeat the mayor. And I feel like that actually happened in Part 2, Graduation Day Part 2. And I really sort of had lost hope. I was like, I guess Faith is just gonna be a bad guy and that's just it. And it's gonna take her a while to actually help us out and just, become good again. But the whole Graduation Day Part 2 scene where, Buffy and her sort of communicate when they're in a coma, like, I feel like it can sort of be open to interpretation for some people. To me, definitely 100% felt like it was actually Faith helping out Buffy and talking to Buffy, and I guess noticing that she screwed up. And so I feel like this is the first glimpse that we got at Faith noticing that maybe it wasn't the right decision to team up with the mayor. And I guess it took her a while to figure it out. But I guess it's what everybody was talking about, that it's just going to make her character arc so much better, because you're going to see that even though she had the opportunity to be a bad person and she sort of embraced it for a whole second, that's not who she is inside. And she can fight against the urges that she has inside of just killing and those kind of things, and just use them for the good. I just feel like Faith is such a complex character, and I definitely did not expect such different depths to her character as we got. I feel like I expected her to be sort of a Kendra, just like, how Kendra's thing was that she was a good Slayer and just followed the rules. I expected Faith's thing to be that like she was a bit of a bad girl and like that's it. She was gonna eventually tell Giles off and be like, no, I'm not gonna do that, you know. But they really took it to a whole different extreme, which just made it more interesting and made her more interesting. And it made me very curious to figure out like what the heck is she gonna be up to like in the later seasons or stuff, because this can't be it for Faith. Also, I think it's really cool that just like how we see the good people, you know, like turn into bad people, like Faith and Angel, I feel like we also see the bad people turning into good people in a way. And that, you know, that really, like, for example, Spike, you know, who helped Buffy in the end of Becoming, and when he came back in Lover's Walk, of course, he was a little bit of a bitch, but he was definitely not the same villain that we met in like School Hard, you know. It feels like he has a little bit more feelings, and he's a vampire. He's not even supposed to. And even the mayor, the fact that he would care about Faith so deeply shows that he's not a bad person as we thought he was, and that he actually connected with, you know, with Faith and saw her as almost a child. And so I feel like his child, a child makes it sound weird. So, you know, it's like they twist things and the bad guys are not so bad anymore and the good guys are not so good anymore. And it's just, I really like how they sort of blur those lines and just make you, it just makes you so excited to figure out who these characters are, because you never know what they might end up doing, what side they're in, you know, everything just fluctuates so much. And I think it works really well for them. I also think that a part of why season 3 felt stronger in general is just the fact that season 2, people were mentioning that they were using some recycled season 1 scripts and those kind of things. And I feel like you can sort of tell in some moments, you know, like Go Fish, which everybody loves criticizing. Like, I don't love the episode, but you guys are like so much harsher on it than I would have than I would be. I thought it was a fun episode, but I guess that is not the consensus among the Buffy fans. So that's why I always keep coming back to it, not because I hate it, but because everybody seems to hate it, and so I really try and understand why there's such a profound hatred for this episode, and I really think it has all to do with like placement, really. And so I just feel like you can tell whenever there are some episodes that weren't as well connected in season 2. In season 3, felt like every episode was right where it needed to be, because even if they wouldn't mention the mayor at all, you know, and you could tell that it was a distraction, like that's the good thing, you know, you could tell that it was a distraction from the main story because they didn't want to give you that information yet, and because they can do such fun things like, you know, the Wish episode and those kind of things. So they can like totally distract you and take you away from the story without making it feel like it's just a filler episode, you know? Because it's really not. Now that we're talking about Faith, I feel like we should discuss a little bit of Buffy and Faith's relationship too, because those girls, listen, they got a little something going on there, which I was like not really talking about so much because I was like, she's with Angel. But come on, now that they broke up and, you know, I feel like there's no hope for Buffy and Angel, so I'm trying to move on. Personally, I feel like the correct choice would be to move on with Faith, if you're asking me, Buffy, because I feel like their relationship is so just, you know, different than I expected, because I really thought that they were gonna clash at first, kind of like how Kendra and Buffy did, but then they were gonna eventually bond and become like best friends forever. And I feel like it was the opposite, because I feel like they were actually okay at first and then they clashed and then they got back together and they were like stronger than ever, and then boom, Faith becomes a bad guy. Like everything just came tumbling down. So there was so much more, you know, there was like quite a wave, I want to say, in their relationship of like, we're really good, we're really bad. And so I feel like that definitely made them more interesting and made me appreciate more the friendship that they can have, because I feel like they have had such good scenes together. I feel like Bad Girls was one of my favorite episodes of the season, just because we really got to see them together and how their dynamic is like, and we got to see that they're really flirtatious when they're around each other. And personally, I think that is so great, and I really wish that they would actually explore that, because, you know, the whole thing that they have with the forehead kiss, which Faith gave her and like Enemies, and then she gives Faith in Graduation Day Part 2, and just, you know, their whole relationship, it always feels like there's this sort of subtext, which people have been mentioning too. I'm so glad. I really thought I was reading into it a little, but it seems like this is a general consensus that people kind of do ship Buffy and Faith, and I would not be me if I didn't ship them too. But I guess what I was just about their relationship in general, I definitely feel like the choice that Buffy did in Graduation Day Part 2 of actively attacking slash killing Faith, that was her plan, was such a big choice. And I guess it really shows us what their relationship, like the point their relationship has gotten to, where Buffy feels like she can kill Faith, or that she should kill Faith, that it's like sort of the right thing to do. Because, like, I think I talked about this a little, Buffy's just such a selfless character that I feel like she would never actively choose to kill somebody to save herself, but that's the conclusion that she came to. And I guess it just really shows that she had sort of lost hope, with Faith in general. And I think that Faith really proved herself to her by telling her about, he has a flaw just like everybody does, like every human, and those kind of things. And so I feel like now Buffy sort of, it's not that she forgives Faith, but I think that, because Faith helped them out, like ended up helping them out, I feel like Buffy is not going to be as pissed off and, wanting to kill Faith as she was in the first episode. In the first episode being Graduation Day Part 1. But, in some ways, I feel like Buffy never actually gave up on Faith. I feel like she had so much belief that Faith was going to end up helping them out. I really think she did, because in Enemies, when she lets Faith go, sorta, and Graduation Day, like the beginning of Graduation Day Part 1, where Faith also jumps off, into the car thingy. Like, I feel like those two moments, Buffy is so strong. Buffy could have stopped her. Buffy 100% could have stopped her if she wanted to, but I think she didn't want to. I think she wanted to give Faith a chance. I feel like she noticed that she wasn't going to be able to kill Faith. Like, she just can't do it, and those kind of things. And so I feel like these moments are like a subtle nod to the fact that their relationship is not gone forever, and of course they're gonna have to work to repair it. But I definitely don't think there was a moment where Buffy hated Faith, just hated her. I feel like Buffy, being the understanding person that she is, I feel like Buffy will always try and understand and relate to how Faith got to being who she is, just like how she was talking about, I think it was one of the episodes where she was saying, like, yeah, that could have been me, you know and I already discussed that during the episode. I'm not going to repeat, but I think that, this is such a great side of Buffy, the fact that she's always going to try and see the good in people and relate to people. And I think that that's why their relationship, I still have hope that they're going to become good friends again. They have to, because they're such an unstoppable duo when they're like in the same side, all those scenes of them slaying vampires together. It's as cool as things can get, honestly. And so I really do hope that eventually when Faith wakes up, that she's fine, and that her and Buffy can sort of have a talk and start getting past things. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, but I'm definitely excited about seeing what their relationship is gonna be like after everything that just happened. And I wonder if Faith is gonna try being evil for a little bit longer, because I know that it seems like she's switched a little, but at the same time we're gonna have to see, because what if she wakes up and she's not exactly, I don't think she's gonna wake up ready to be friends with Buffy again, but I also hope that she's not actively like pissed off at Buffy for trying to kill her and all those things. So we'll see. I guess because we were talking about meeting Faith and all those things, I should also talk a little bit about my friend Wes, who was definitely, he shocked me more than Faith, I think. With Faith, the only thing I knew about her is that she was cool. She's like a badass. And yes, she has the reputation for a reason. Like, she upheld that. And so with Wes, the only thing I knew about him is that he's like a bookworm and he's really good with like books and stuff, which of course he was in Buffy. But I think they really played a lot with the aspect of Wes not like being good at things yet, and just being at the very beginning of his story with the supernatural, and having to learn how to actually, deal with things and like the action of it, and not just the books. And so I feel like that was very interesting, because Wes seemed a lot more like badass and angel, so it's going to be really cool to see him like evolve to that point. But I definitely thought that when he came in, he was going to be that sort of person who studies so much that he would be ready for anything, which it seems like he is, but at the same time, when he's actually faced with the things, he sort of freezes up. He gets really nervous. He's not, he doesn't have the same sort of confidence that Giles does when he's being the Watcher. And so, of course, that was a very big shock for me. I guess I was really hoping that Wes was going to be a Watcher. I didn't know if he was. And so I feel like it really adds up to who he is as a character, and so I really enjoyed that. I truly don't know if like this is it for Wes being a Watcher. I don't know if right now, because it seems like they said that he left. And so I don't know if he's gonna come back in season 4 or if he's just gonna go to Angel. I guess we'll talk about that when I do my predictions. I guess we'll talk about where I think Faith and Wes are gonna end up. But Wes, I feel like I definitely expected him and Giles to become friends. And even though their relationship has definitely changed from the first moment where we were introduced to Wes, because, definitely they were a lot more opposed in the beginning and stuff like that, because I guess just because of the betrayal of having somebody substitute him, you couldn't possibly expect Giles to be like super cool with Wes. And so that makes all the sense in the world, but I really thought they were going to become more friends and stuff. And even though Wes has proven to trust Giles a lot more and clearly brings him into the loop because he understands that that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I don't feel like they're at that point in their relationship yet where they can sort of like, go out for drinks after work and complain about Buffy. And that is sort of the dynamic that I expected from them at a certain point. And so I guess if Wes continues to be a part of Buffy season 4, I guess we still have a chance to actually see those two become friends, but I don't think they're leaning down that route so much. I guess they're going to be more acquaintances and work colleagues than actual friends. So it's okay. That was definitely different than I expected. But it was still interesting because I feel like it helps to just keep the relationship in between Giles and Buffy that much more like special, because it was so cute. I feel like this season had just the best moments with Buffy and Giles. Like they're in such a good point in their relationship, and that makes me so happy because I feel like season 1 we really got to see Giles having to unfortunately set some rules and like kind of be a bad guy sometimes that we wouldn't necessarily agree with and all those things. It's just so understandable that, in season 1, Giles has to set some ground rules and really just sort of teach Buffy how she needs to act, like impose the council rules, of course. And so I feel like the fact that now we're able to get past that and we're at a point where they can actually have a relationship that goes beyond the Watcher, and Slayer dynamic is just great. The fact that he got her diploma and the way he looks at her with so much love, like, and I know that the council said that he treats her like a daughter, and like it's so true. Like their relationship this season was 100% the relationship of a father-daughter, and I just think that's so cute because it's clearly a relationship that's missing in Buffy's life because her father does not seem to be a part of her life at all, and it's clearly not her choice. It's something because of course not everybody gets to have a father figure, but I feel like with some people they really do miss that, and I feel like Buffy was really missing her dad just because she wishes that he was still there and she feels like he neglected her and those kind of things. And so having Giles show how much he cares about Buffy over and over again, even when he's not obliged to by the council, I guess just shows her that she matters, that there's somebody that cares about her. And so I really think that they leaned into the whole into their chemistry as just, a father and a daughter kind of relationship. And I just think that was just adorable and I love them so much, and they have to be one of like my favorite friendships of the show. I feel like their relationship is one of the most genuine ones. Other than maybe Buffy and Willow, I think they have the most just genuine connection to one another, and I love that we get to explore that now. And I can totally understand why they wouldn't be able to do that with Wes, but just I feel like the council was also a really big topic this season that wasn't talked as much in the previous one, because we got to see them like break out from it and just make their own decisions now, and that was really cool. And I think that definitely sets up the tone for season 4 because it feels like they're gonna be more on their own. they're not going to have as many rules to follow. They're going to have more limited resources that they're going to have to, figure out how to use the university to help them out. And I guess the people there and just the books and those kind of things. And so it definitely feels like it's setting the tone to them having a little bit more of an independence from the council, which I'm so relieved, because after Helpless, I hope that council burns to the fucking ground for doing that to my sweet, sweet Buffy. That was really rude. And I still want to know, because I know that obviously Faith is in no way affiliated with the council. But I remember people saying that, Eliza turned 18 during the recordings. That's why she could be a part of the second half of the season more. But I wonder, has Faith turned 18 yet? Because if she hasn't, are they gonna try and pull the same crap with her? Because if they do, oh my god, that would just, I don't know. I truly don't know if she's turned 18 yet, but this is definitely a concern that I have in my mind, regardless of her being in contact with them or not. These council people seem pretty crazy. And so I feel like it was a really nice thing that slowly but surely the characters started noticing that the council was not the right way to go. It obviously started with Buffy, and Buffy noticing that, like, they can't just drug me and expect me to be okay with it, and Giles noticing that because of Buffy, and then Wes noticing that because of Giles and Buffy. It feels like they're slowly but surely convincing everybody that the council sucks. They're so right for it, and I guess I'm curious about the council's presence in season 4, because to me it definitely feels like they're going out on their own, but it also feels like at a certain point the council will try and get back in, because I don't think they're going to take it as easily. They've already lost one Slayer who just, that happened, and so I don't think they would let go of Buffy this easily, because that seems to be like their whole brand. I don't understand the Watchers Council truly. And so I definitely don't think they're going to give up this easily. So I do think we're going to see some sort of resistance from them, and how they're going to try and get Buffy back. I don't know if we're going to start the season with the council trying to get her back and her saying no, or I don't know if they're going to give her some space and then midway through the season and be like, "Hi Buffy, how you doing? Come back to us," kind of thing. And so I feel like that's going to be a really fun relationship to explore, because she's obviously gonna have to make decisions that are really big in regards to wanting the council's help for the better good of humanity, or wanting to do things on her own because she thinks that's best. Because I feel like at a certain point the council does help them out with just information and stuff, and so I wonder if it's going to get to a moment where Buffy really needs this one piece of information she can only get from the council, and so she ultimately has to come back to them or something like that. I'm just curious to see if she's eventually going to come back to the council or not. I feel like my gut says I hope not, and so I'm going to stick with no, this is it for Buffy and the council, because I hate those bitches and I don't want her to go back. But yeah, it was definitely a storyline that I did not expect this season. Helpless really caught me by surprise. I was just like, yeah, they suck. And we also saw, I think it was like Gwendolyn, her name, like Miss Post, right? She was also interesting because I feel like she is the only other contact we've had, except for Helpless, with the council and who they are. And I guess we can see that just as Slayers can suddenly turn evil, I guess we can see that so can Watchers. And so that's interesting, because again, it feels like some sort of foreshadowing for where Faith's storyline was going to take her. Just the fact that those two sort of bonded a little, and just the fact that they showed you, oh hey, are you paying attention? Because people can turn out to be bad people, like these Watchers. And so I wonder if the Slayers can do that. Which definitely never occurred to me. I really laughed when somebody made a comment like, "Domi, I don't think you've noticed the fact that the Slayers can actually be bad if they choose to." And I was like, I actually really didn't. Like, it's not something that ever crossed my mind. And we have Buffy to blame for that, because Buffy's just so freaking good that it would have never crossed my mind that somebody could use those powers for evil. I was just like, no, because look at Buffy. Like, Buffy's doing so good, everybody's gonna try and be like Buffy. But I guess Faith didn't really get the memo. It's fine. Like, I have so much faith that we're gonna get Faith back and that she's gonna, right her wrongs. We can do this, Faith. I believe in you. Talking a little bit about the big bads again. Before we talk about the mayor, I kind of want to talk about Spike and Drew. I'm aware, yes, you're watching the season 3 video. You're in the right video. But I really did not expect them to be gone like the entire season. I really didn't. I mean, of course, Spike came back for one episode, but I really thought that they were giving us a break from Spike and Drew, but they would be back by like the mid season. They didn't. Like they didn't come back. And the fact that Spike broke up with Drew makes me afraid that this is the last we've seen of Drusilla, and that would make me so sad because I love her so much. And but the way that they set up Lover's Walk kind of felt like they were saying Drusilla's gone, you're never gonna see her again. And that just posed so many questions in my head because, I was just thinking about Becoming with like, the end of Becoming and Drew like, killing Kendra and the way that they escaped and just like, seeing that she's finally got all her powers and those kind of things, and she could be an unhinged, chaotic villain. And so the fact that they didn't bring her back in season 3, I really thought that was hinting towards her having a huge storyline in season 3, being a huge big bad. Oh, maybe they are saving her to be the season 4 big bad. That would be really interesting. So like, sort of like a reprise, like come back to us, just like how they sort of almost hinted that Angelus was coming back in Enemies. Maybe this means that she's coming back for season 4, like as strong as ever. I would really love that because I feel like they left me with so many questions, and I really thought they were hinting towards a big storyline for her, or just getting to see her like this different side of her now that she's all unhinged and powerful kind of thing. And so I don't know. I personally, that's how I thought her storyline was going, and so I do hope that we get to see her again, and Mr. Spiky, because he's just so fun, and he made Lover's Walk one of the best episodes of the season because he's just so iconic whenever he's there. So I really hope that they end up being a good part of season 4. And I guess now that we're talking about Spike and Drew, I want to compare them to the mayor a little because I feel like in season 2, I'm surprised, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm surprised that I wasn't frustrated that the entire season led up to like what I assumed was going to be a battle in between Buffy, Spike, and Drew. And like that's not what happens in Becoming, but I was 100% not frustrated with that because I was just so into the story and I loved the episode so much. But I guess like what I was gonna say is that I feel like it's very interesting that in season 2 it seems like they shied away from the battle and like that whole thing because they prefer to have other twists, and they just created such a complex, story. I loved Becoming so much. And so I think it's interesting that in season 2 they were like, let's not have like a sort of battle in the finale. And then in season 3 they went like down the opposite route and they were like, we didn't give you the battle in season 2, let's do it in season 3 of, just getting to see them actively fight against the mayor and have like a full on battle, like the good versus the bad kind of thing. And so yeah, I just thought that was interesting because I feel like personally I preferred Becoming to Graduation Day. And so I think it's interesting just because like I said, personally I feel like the entire story led up to a battle. In both of the seasons it all feels like it's leading up to that one moment, and the season where they didn't give me it almost worked out better because I had created so many expectations for Graduation Day that I feel like it was hard to, just surpass those expectations. Meanwhile, all the expectations that I created about Spike and Drew's battle against Buffy never really happened. And I was okay with that just because of the fact that the battle can't disappoint me if it never happened. This is not to say that the Graduation Day battle disappointed me. I think I was just talking about the fact that I feel like they sort of defeated the monster a little bit too easy. But my friend was bringing out the fact that like, do you notice how much CGI they're using at this year? And I'm like, oh, this is something that completely slipped my mind because I feel like in some moments I forget that Buffy is like 20 years old, and I just really forget. I feel like the show is just so good that you don't. I feel like it sort of defies the idea of time in a way. Like I feel like I was talking about how season 1 is the one that feels a little bit more dated, but from season 2 onwards, this completely feels like a show that could be running right now. And so I guess it slipped my mind that 20 years ago this is some pretty badass stuff. So I am sorry for shitting on the battle a little bit on my latest reaction vid. It was still a really cool season finale. I'm definitely not saying that it wasn't. I always feel so bad when I'm criticizing Buffy because it makes it seem like I don't appreciate it, but I need you all to know that I love this show so much, and everything that I criticize is out of love. And you guys are here to hear my opinions. I'm not gonna say I liked everything when I didn't like some things. I'm just gonna be real with you all. Talking about the how like this whole idea of Buffy not being dated in some ways, the first episode that comes to mind obviously is Earshot, because I was genuinely so shocked at the fact that they were talking about like school shootings. I I mean, I guess I should have expected, because Buffy really does like to play with some really deep topics sometimes, and that was definitely a deep one. Earshot was just such a funny episode, like a fun episode, that it always surprises me when they're able to create some, like, talk about something so big in such like a digestible way, because Earshot was talking about, suicide and like school shootings and stuff, but they were still able to make it in a way that the episode itself wasn't heavy. It was like, it was sort of fun. It still had its fun way around it. And so I feel like that is the best way to sort of send the messages, because if you create something that, people can barely watch because of how horrifying or sad it is, it makes it harder for people to actually pay attention to what's happening. But the way that they did it, you're clearly paying attention to both storylines and you care about it deeply, while also having some fun and laughing around, because Buffy can hear people's thoughts until she becomes insane, and then you're like, fuck my life, why would Buffy do that? So I just feel like I really appreciate it when they do that, when they bring some depth in. I feel like the other episode that really did that for me was Amends. Because thinking back on it, I definitely think it had my favorite. I don't know if I should say favorite scene, but it definitely had my favorite like speech from the show so far, or at least from the season. When Buffy and Angel are talking, because to me, I 100% read that as sort of people's struggles with mental health, and it really feels like Angel was sort of just projecting. Like, Angel just feels like he was sort of going through a depression, and they personified it into like Jenny and stuff like that. But I feel like it was dealing with a really hard subject, and they put it in the terms of like defeating the monsters and surviving the monsters, when really it's all about surviving life in a way. And so I just really like it when they do that, when they're deep. Something that I was really thinking about this season too, and it took me a while to remember what episode it was from, is from 304, which is a moment that I don't think we give enough importance to, which is when Buffy sort of goes to therapy. When she's talking to like that counselor from her school, I just feel like that was such a meaningful moment to me, because Buffy literally asks for help. She's like, there's so much happening, I need help. And to me, that was one of the bravest Buffy like moments ever. And it just, I feel like that scene was so incredible, and I kind of wish that they had paid it off by actually making her go to therapy. I was waiting because I thought that, oh, maybe her talking to this counselor and asking for help means that she's ready to actually ask for help and potentially find a therapist or something like that. And so I was really hoping she would come to this realization this season. It doesn't seem like she has, but I know I've said this before. I really want Buffy to go to therapy. I really feels like I feel like she needs it. She really does. She's just been so sad since season 1. I feel like we're progressively seeing her get sadder and sadder, and just more bad things happening, that I just really would love it if she like tried to get help, because it feels like she almost did, and she was almost there, but then the guy was like dead, and so she never actually tried to do it again. I just feel like she's ready, and to me that is another one of the really deep moments of Buffy, was seeing her actually actively asking for help and saying that she's not okay. Also, something else about graduation day that I feel like is actually worth mentioning is that I feel like I criticized it because nothing sad happened. Like, a part of me thinks that, because I was so expecting something huge to happen and something horrible, and I didn't expect it to be so easy. I guess that's why I criticized it a little. But the thing is that it actually feels so good, because I kind of got what I wanted. I was begging them to like let them have an okay graduation, and for nothing like too traumatic to happen in a way. And so they gave me that, and I complained. So I'm sorry, Buffy writers. Like I said, sometimes I don't know what I want, but I want. But yes, it's, while their graduation could have been traumatic with one of them dying and something like that, of course it was traumatic because, like, a huge ass snake, but it could have been worse. And so I'm kind of glad that, you know, even though I may criticize it a little, I'm kind of glad that nothing, it wasn't worse than what it actually was. I also feel like they really set up Graduation Day Part 2 very well during the prom episode, because the fact that they made it clear that the entire Sunnydale High is sort of aware about what's happening in the supernatural, and that they're not as great as, like, hiding it as we like assumed. That, I guess, really pays off in Graduation Day Part 2 when we actually get to see them, everybody join together to defeat this one big evil, because they're sort of aware that the evil exists. And so this was really good, because if it had happened without us seeing that scene in the prom, personally I would be a little bit confused, because I was like, aren't these bitches a little bit more surprised that there's a huge ass snake? But I guess everybody knows. And so that was a really cool way of hinting towards it, and I just really appreciated the team effort that it took. I thought that was pretty brilliant, and just seeing Xander command everything was pretty freaking cool. I love when we get to see the army parts of Xander, which is one of the things that I had talked about, really wanting to see more, because I feel like that was such a cool thing that they kept bringing back, because so many bad things happened in, the season 1 and season 2 finales that made Buffy literally, like, run away, that I was like, okay, what is she gonna like, why is she gonna run away this season? What's gonna happen? And I'm really glad that she didn't, because it feels like she's in a better place and she's not suffering as much as she was, with everything that happened in the season 1 and 2 finales. And so I just really like that she doesn't get to run away this time. She gets to run with her group to a new reality of college, but it's not her running away. It's not her, freaking out over everything that happened and isolating herself. I feel like she's actually doing the opposite. She's creating more of a bond with, I guess, Xander and Willow, who are really gonna have to be there for her, just be there for each other as they start this new journey in college. So I'm excited. I also just think it's hilarious that when they finally have an environment where everybody, knows about the supernatural, and I guess they could use that in their, like, to just help them out with the rest of whatever the hell is gonna show up, they can't, because now everybody's off to college and stuff, and the school's kind of destroyed. So I think it's funny, because I feel like this would be a really game changer to actually have people be able to help them out whenever they need to, and having people be a little bit more aware that there's some weird stuff happening. So I guess I kind of like the idea of this happening right before they go to college, because that means that we still get to start over from scratch with them being the only ones who know in college, Unless we get to see some familiar faces from the high school, which I'm not sure we will, but I feel like it would be really interesting, Even though I guess Amy didn't graduate, I was gonna say that I really wish Amy would be a bigger part of the story, because I feel like her and Willow could really bond about being witches and just teach each other stuff. But I think she's still a rat, and so I guess she didn't complete her senior year, so I guess I can't expect her to be a part of the university. That's a little bit sad. But I do hope that we get to see one or two familiar faces going with them. But at the same time, I feel like it would be cool to just get a whole new batch of people that we don't know, but we will. Okay, we should go through just relationships and talk a little bit about relationships, because when I was watching my season 2 recap, I remember I said, and this is so ironic, I guess this is finally the end of the love triangle. Thank God. So we got rid of the love triangle that I despised, the Buffy, Xander, Willow love triangle, only to change Buffy for Cordelia and make it like I guess a fourth triple, like a rectangular love rectangular. Does that make sense? Because Oz was also involved. That was terrible. What I mean to say is that I feel like they thankfully got Buffy away from that, but at the same time, they did this whole thing with Xander and Willow that I still don't understand. That's the first couple that I want to talk about, because, listen, I truly don't understand what they were trying to do. Because, okay, Xander and Willow seem to have feelings for each other, and they sort of have to explore that. I can understand that if they actually explored that relationship, but they just had them kiss and then suddenly they stopped and that was it. They were like, we can't do this, and then boom, gone. Like, I don't feel like it made sense because they both sort of wrecked their relationship because they felt these feelings for each other. But then they never actually explored those feelings. Like, if it was a one time kiss and they never went back to it, I feel like I would have understood because I would have been like, okay, they gave it a try and there was no chemistry. Like, sometimes just there's nothing there. But they did not, make out just once. And so there was clearly something there. And I feel like they sort of just completely ignored it. There was never. And I guess they did have like a sort of a goodbye saying that they couldn't do it anymore. But personally, I kept waiting for it to come back. I kept waiting for them to actually make out again. I feel like there was no conclusion because there was no start. I hate saying this, but I really wish they would have tried it out just so that they could be 100% certain that this is not what's right for them. Because I feel like, okay, Willow and Oz thankfully were able to recover from it, but Xander and Cordy weren't. And listen, I feel like if it's because I'm not that invested in that ship, so I'm not gonna be super pissed off. But if I really loved Xander and Cordy, I would be really pissed off that it feels like they broke up for nothing because Xander sort of wrecked their relationship to give something a try with Willow, which he never even tried in the first place, because they never actually actively tried dating or anything. It's just, to me, nothing. To me, that storyline just didn't make sense because I feel like from one moment to the next, they just hid their feelings and tried to pretend like they weren't there when clearly they had set up that there were feelings involved in between Xander and Willow. And so, I don't know. Personally, I feel really pissed off that Xander and Cordy had to break up about this because I kept waiting for them to come back. And it's only just, like, I only just realized now that they broke up. I think it was like 308. And so I spent more than half of the season waiting for these two to come back, only for them to not. And so that's a really bad breakup. It doesn't feel like it's a good enough breakup for me. Like, I honestly am a little bit disappointed. I feel like they deserved better just because ruining a relationship over another relationship that they never even tried, a little bit sad if you ask me. But I think that the prom episode definitely gave me a sort of conclusion with Xander and Cordy that I was really going to miss because I didn't know if at first they were sort of hinting that they were going to get back together. But granted that I remember that Cordy's leaving, I feel like it makes more sense now. It makes sense that it's a conclusion that he would do like one last selfless act of like paying for her dress and helping her out so that they kind of say goodbye to that relationship because it really was an important relationship for both of them. And so it felt like a nostalgic goodbye and a nod towards everything that they've been through, and I really enjoyed that. And it made me really pissed off that they ruined their relationship for what ended up being nothing. But at least Willow and Oz are doing okay. They were doing so well in graduation day. I'm just so excited that they're actually able to, like, just have a really healthy and good relationship where they seem to really support each other and love each other. And they're always just so cute. And I feel like they're the embodiment of just teenage love, which I think is adorable. They feel like, because Buffy and Angel, they're always going through so many like life or death things that it almost feels like they're a married couple. With Willow and Oz, you can feel that they are just young and in love for like the first time, or at least Willow, definitely like for the first time, I guess. And so I don't know, I just think it's super cute and I'm super happy that, we're gonna get to see more of them in season 4 because that's just gonna be so exciting to see like all the different places their relationship is going to evolve because I feel like it was very much. Sometimes they sort of didn't really talk about them so much, kept them really in the background, but I feel like towards the last half of the season, they were holding hands a lot more. They seem to be a lot closer, and I guess it's really sweet that their relationship is not in the same place that it was in the beginning of the season. You can clearly see that they have evolved, and so that's exciting because it makes me feel like season 4 they're gonna evolve even more. Now I want to go back to Xander and say that I kind of really want Xander and Anya to have something. I think I mentioned this. We always see Xander being really excited about like his love interests, and I feel like Anya's the first love interest that I've seen show a bigger interest in Xander. This reminds me of Bewitched, Bewildered, Bewildered. I think that's the name. I always get this episode name wrong, and I have referenced it too many times to still not know. Um, but in that episode, I remember that's the episode that made me want Xander and Amy to have something because I feel like it was really cute to have her like make a move on him. And so I feel like, that was because she was under a spell and stuff, but I never forgot it. And so now having Anya actually sort of make the move on Xander and ask him to prom and those kind of things and show that she cares and that she wants him to kiss her and all those things, that really makes me hope that this is a relationship they're going to explore. Because even though it felt a little bit weird, felt like it just came out of nowhere, it has the potential. I can totally 100% acknowledge the potential in that relationship. And I really strongly feel like they are going down that route. It feels like they're setting it up. I'm gonna be so disappointed if they don't because I really want a good love interest for Xander. Because even though I love Cordelia, I don't think she was the best girlfriend. I feel like he can do. Oh man, I was gonna say I feel like he can do better than Cordy. That's a rough statement, and I don't know if I stick by it. Also, another relationship that they sort of started setting up this season, and I expected it to pay off similarly to Xander and Willow, is Joyce and Giles. Like, what is up with that? Again, this was a relationship that I was expecting. They clearly hinted towards it in Band Candy when they actually, made out and stuff like that. Sex twice on top of the car. That was really funny. And then they brought it back again in Earshot. And so I just think it's really surprising because I really thought that after what happened in Band Candy, they would sort of talk about it, and then they were gonna end up having a relationship. But then now what? They never actually followed through with it like I expected. Maybe it was not actually meant to be a relationship. Maybe it was just a fling, and this was it. Because I strongly think that Joyce being back in Sunnydale, but I don't think Buffy's gonna be living at home, right? And so it feels like it would be a little bit weird for Giles to have something with Joyce now because it feels like he's gonna be farther away since he's probably gonna, I don't know, move closer to the college or something. And so I don't really see anything happening in between Joyce and Giles anymore. And so again, I'm curious as to why they sort of set up these relationships and then never actually explored them. And I hope that that's not what they're doing with Anya and Xander. Otherwise, I'll be disappointed. And Wes and Cordy, I'm also glad they paid that one off. It was weird, and it was just weird. And I guess their entire dynamic felt weird. So I guess it makes sense that like their actual kiss was weird, and they were like, yeah, this is not it. And so I'm glad they came to that realization sooner rather than later so that they can just get through it and hopefully never try that again because that was painful to watch. Like, I know that they were flirting and stuff, but I didn't actually think they were gonna kiss. It felt disturbing. And okay, I was saving this one for last because I feel like it's the couple, Mr. Angel and Miss Buffandra of the Slayers. Like, I was really upset about the Buffy and Angel breakup. I really was. And it was really funny to watch back my season 2 thoughts and stuff because I was saying like, oh yeah, I think this is the end of Buffy and Angel. And I'm sad, but I wasn't as sad as I would be because I was really pissed off at Angel. And so I was like, I kind of wanted him to die anyways. And then now looking back on it, I'm like, well, of course, like I have every right to feel that way, but I just mean that I am really glad that they brought him back and made him a good person again because that made the breakup hurt so much worse. Like, even though I was bummed out when it happened in season 2, I was like, he is trash. He doesn't deserve Buffy. And then now, because we're so distant from Angelus that I have started liking Angel again. And so, that just made me love their relationship all over again. I feel like they put me back in the place that I was before Angel became Angelus. And I was not sure that they were going to be able to do that because, especially after Jenny, there are some things that I was like, it's unforgivable. I can never look at Angel the same way. But I think I have finally started to heal because I was feeling the exact same way about Buffy and Angel, like maybe even more than I was before. I was really shipping them hard. I was really rooting for them, and I had really um understood that I had an easier time separating Angel from Angelus, which has always made rational sense, but at the same time, when they have the same face, sometimes when you're full of rage about Jenny being dead, it can be hard to separate. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm really glad season 2 is not the end of Buffy and Angel, that they were able to make me fall in love with them all over again and then take them away from me. It really hurts, but it was just great. And I'm so glad that their story wasn't over. It wasn't just over because I was really worried about that. It felt so good to have them back. Felt so good to see them, like, they just have so much love for each other, and I guess it was just really fun to be able to explore that and watch that and see that they love each other so much that they know that they can't be together, and that shit really hurts, bro. And it turns out I guess I can forgive Angel for Angelus's acts because I was really just, suffering with the breakup, which means that, Point being, Buffy and Angel means a lot of pain. And I honestly, I'm still having a hard time believing that they're over. I feel like I keep expecting like more scenes, but the fact is that that is it. That's all the Buffy and Angel we get, and that's just really weird because they're the one couple that has been happening since season one, with its up and downs, of course, but they're the one thing that, there was so much certainty around, and so it definitely feels weird that they're over. Yeah, man, it really does. I have nothing else to say about Buffy and Angel that I haven't said already, other than just pain. Okay, now that we have talked about the ships, I kind of want to talk about certain individual characters, like in terms of just character development, because I want to start with Cordy. Because honestly, I'm very disappointed with the way that Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the show, treats Cordelia. I don't understand. Like, they will actively not give her anything, and it's really disappointing. I feel like every other character gets to be involved in the storylines, and with Cordelia, they sort of just forget her. And to me, that's just really disappointing because she has already gone through so much character progress from season 1 to season 2, and it was really just exciting to see her. I guess in season 2 really is when she matured. She matured so much in season 2, and we got to see her like break out of her shell and not hang out with those annoying girls anymore and really lean into our squad. And then after she broke up with Xander, that was it. They didn't care about her anymore. And I honestly don't understand. Like, truly, I really don't understand why they would completely just take her out of the equation when, she's sort of always willing to help in her own way, and they would eventually bring her in for like an episode or two where she could, like, I don't know, drive Buffy, like, and I don't know, it was Helpless maybe, where Buffy asked her for a ride or something. Like, they would bring her in for really small things, but they completely excluded her from the gang and from being able to be a part of the supernatural. Like, she has an in because she knows the truth, and so she can be of help, and they should use that. But instead, the writers clearly chose to just have Cordelia as a very big side character. Like, I don't even know why they have her in the intro because she definitely doesn't feel like one of the main characters at all. And so it was just really disappointing to me to see the fact that they didn't care enough about her to give her her own storylines. If she couldn't be involved in the storylines that were happening with the rest of the gang because they didn't want her to be a part of the rest of the gang, the least they could do is give her her own storylines. Did they do it? I guess the fuck not. I actually get really pissed off thinking about everything that Cordelia sort of deserved right now because she's such a good character. She's such like a deep character, such an interesting character, such a fun character, and the Buffy writers were like, let's like not pay attention to her, not give her anything. The only storyline that they gave her right now was just about this whole like her working slash the dress thing, and that was clearly just a way to set up the fact that she's going to Angel. So it's not even about her, it's about like getting rid of her and having a reason to get rid of her by making her like poor right now. And so I was really pissed off because it was very disappointing because in season 2 I was like, she's not quite part of the gang yet, but I'm sure that on season 3 she's gonna be like all in, emerged, and they went backwards. Like I thought things couldn't get worse than they were, and they just, they took back everything, every connection that she had with them. They sort of took it back. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. Of course, she was part of a few things, but I definitely expected and wanted her to be more engaged because that's the way that I assumed things were going, and it never got to the point that I hoped it would. A little bit sad, but I guess this makes me happy that she's going to Angel because hopefully in Angel they'll actually give her storylines and care about her as a character. If they don't have a space for it in Buffy, I'm glad that they seem to in Angel because otherwise they wouldn't be getting her character there if they didn't have, thoughts about where to take her. At least I'm really hoping she gets some interesting storylines in Angel, but at this point, I will settle for anything that actually involves Cordelia because Buffy kind of paid her dust. And so that's on the Cordelia rant. Another character that I want to talk about and give her, props for her character development because I feel like I haven't talked about it enough is Joyce. I feel like Joyce is a completely different character now than she was in season 1. I genuinely did not like season 1 Joyce. She feels like she didn't understand Buffy, she didn't try and understand Buffy, and it feels like she just didn't want to be a mother and she was just kind of just stuck with this annoying girl. And I think maybe I judged her harshly. I guess I should have taken into consideration everything Buffy had just, put her through with burning down gyms and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like she really has evolved and her relationship with Buffy has evolved because ever since I was excited to see how their relationship was going to change after she found out Buffy was a Slayer. That was like one thing that I was really looking forward, and they did it, in the end of season 2. So, season 3, we get to see this different side of Joyce now that she's actually in on it. And I feel like Joyce knowing the truth was actually very good for her. It just feels that now that Joyce knows the truth, she trusts Buffy more. Like, I was surprised that she was kind of okay with her sleeping over at Angel's and those kind of things. And she's like inviting Faith over. And it feels like she's trying to more actively be a part of Buffy's life instead of just letting her do her own thing, which was not working out so great. And so I don't know. I'm really excited. I loved the moment. I think it was like in Choices, right? Where she's just so happy that Buffy got into college and she's calling her friends and stuff like that. That was such a genuinely sweet moment. And I think this is what I was missing from Joyce. I feel like they were giving her a lot of like harsh moments, but not enough heartwarming moments with Buffy. Like very few of them. And so I feel like this season really just it explored a little bit more of that in their relationship, and it makes me excited to see because they've already started bonding a little bit more. So I wonder if they're gonna start bonding each time more, you know. And so I feel like, yeah, Joyce has really grown on me, which is such a relief. I was worried I was always gonna have some beef with her, but I definitely think that she has become a better mother, even. Or maybe I'm just seeing her in a different way. Somebody else who deserves to be talked about is Willow. I feel like I actually expected season 3 Willow to pretty much just be her doing magic and us figuring out, just Willow figuring out that part of herself and becoming a powerful witch and all those things. But they have not, like, of course she's done magic, but they have not gone full Willow was a magic person. Like, I thought it was gonna be a more prevalent thing. Maybe it's not, or maybe it's still coming. But it was still cool to see her do magic in the moments that she did. But most importantly, what really stuck with me about Willow is the episode choices and the choice that she made to stay. I thought that was so exciting because personally, if I had just been kidnapped, my instinct would be, let me get away from this. I don't want to be in this environment. It's just not my thing. For Willow, being kidnapped and being powerless made her realize that she wants to do good like Buffy. I guess she really just counted on Buffy so much and knew that no matter what happened, Buffy was going to save her. And I guess that's why she chose to do what she chose to do. She wants to help people, kind of like how Buffy helps them. This is my interpretation of things, of course, but I just feel like it's such a genuinely heartwarming thing, to have a character come to the realization that It doesn't matter that she has literally an entire world full of opportunities to do whatever she wants. The thing that she really wants to do is help people right here, right now. And so I thought that was so exciting. And I really love that for her. And I'm really excited to see all the ways in which she's going to become more powerful and more involved and help people. It's just so cool. I feel like with Buffy, I don't need to talk about character development because Buffy is just perfect and she doesn't need any development because she has reached as good of a person as you can become. And my love for her this season is off the freaking charts, especially after the prom episode. If I ever had any doubts, because usually when I did my character rankings for my Patreon like Q&A sort of thingy, I always do character rankings, and I always sort of tied in Buffy and Cordy because I was like, they're sort of both my number one. After the prom, I was like, Buffy is the best character in this show, and you cannot convince me otherwise. She is the best person ever, and just I don't want to hear anybody who disagrees. I'm usually open to so many opinions. If y'all want to, like, discuss stuff, I'm always down for that. If you disagree that Buffy is the best human in this entire planet, you don't deserve to express your wrong opinions because I just love Buffy so much and I've really become very protective of her. So I don't think we should discuss her as a character because she's just getting better and better and I love it. And I guess the other character, I feel like Giles, we did get to see him grow a little, but I already talked about that, just in the sense of knowing that he can stay away from the council and knowing that he can become like sort of powerful and make his own decisions on his own. I feel like that was really big for him. And lastly, because I don't think we need to talk about the other characters. I feel like I've already done that, but I guess the last one is Xander. And I feel like, yes, he has had some different character development. I really like that they're still hinting towards the army thing because that is such a fun thing, and I really thought that they had dropped it again. And so the fact that it came back in the finale, I was like, yes, I love it when they pay that off. And so I'm really excited about Xander because I feel like season 4 is going to be huge for Xander because now he gets to be in a different place, because I do think he's going to college with them, right? At least I'm really hoping so. Because I feel like I sort of missed that. I think he said, I don't know if he's not going to go to college but still stick around, but I do hope that he's actually going to college with them. I just feel like a change in environment is going to be so good for Xander. I feel like Xander has already learned things about him. He matured this season. So I just feel like being in a new environment can just be really good for him so that he can, grow more and more. And also, I feel like I should say that I'm very sorry about dissing on the Zeppo episode. It's an unfortunate thing that I did not understand what they were trying to do. Now that I do understand that this is all in Xander's perspective, everything makes so much more sense. I will eventually rewatch it. But this is my formal apology. I'm so sorry, Xander. I misinterpreted your episode and I didn't really get it. Definitely sounds more interesting now that I actually know what's happening. But also, this reminds me that, I was rewatching for my drunk rewatch with Allie. We were watching a season 1 episode. We did Teacher's Pet. We also recorded one episode in season 2, which we accidentally lost the video, so that's why we didn't post it. We're gonna refilm that, so I'm not gonna say what episode it was. But basically, rewatching these 2 episodes from season 1 and 2 really made my appreciation grow for all the character arcs that these characters have been through. It feels like they're such different people, seeing, especially I guess Xander and Teacher's Pet, I was like, wow, this is different than who he is right now. It really is. And so I guess it was just really fun to see like the comparisons of who they were in the beginning of their journeys and who they're becoming now, because it's just exciting to see how they've grown and how they will probably continue to grow. I feel like Xander, I have so much hope for him because I feel like the best is still ahead. Like how I said with Cordy, I think I said this in season 2. I think she's done all the growing she can do or that she will do. I feel like she's already made, she's kind of already did it. I feel like with Xander, I feel like there's always more that he can do, and that excites me about him. I have pulled up the episode names for season 3 just because I kind of want to go through the list a little because I feel like there's some things about certain episodes that I never got to say just because I only noticed it while editing, or maybe it's something that I sort of expected to pay off but didn't. So I guess I'm just going to go through the episodes kind of quickly and see if there's anything that I have to say about it. this is my chance to do it. I do want to start off with, 301 and because I do think that that episode, now that I'm thinking back, kind of did disappoint me a little because they made such a huge deal of Buffy like running away, and I was like, cool, where did she go to? But it kind of feels like she was just like in LA, like I don't know, like 10 minutes away or something. Like I feel like it could have been a bigger thing because like I said, I was expecting her to maybe be gone for like half an episode or like a whole episode, but they fixed it quite easily. Like 10 minutes in, they were like, here she is, she's fine, she's just like an hour away or something. And so I was expecting something bigger. And so Anne, I guess it wasn't my favorite. I did mention that it wasn't my favorite episode. I think it was my least favorite one from the season, together with Dead Man's Party, because I truly still don't understand why they were treating her so poorly. It doesn't matter what she did. She was clearly going through something, and I feel like her friends should be there to support her, but they clearly did not understand her like I wanted them to. And so that was a really frustrating episode for me because I was like, what is wrong with these people? How are they not noticing that she's only doing these things because she's hurting and she didn't actively mean to worry any of you and stuff like that. And so, yeah, those are why, like, that's why these two first episodes are my least favorite ones of the season, that's for sure. But yeah, 303, we got to meet Faith, Chef's Kiss Perfection. Beauty and the Beast, I have heard definitely like complaints about this episode, but personally, I thought it was kind of interesting. I feel like there were definitely some Bangel scenes that made the episode interesting for me, and just the whole Buffy asking for help thing I thought was huge, and so I do like that. Homecoming, I feel like when I compare it to the prom, Homecoming is not as fun. Maybe I gotta rewatch it. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy Homecoming more now that I've seen the prom and I know that something like the prom happens. That's just not the moment. I'll view it with a different eye and I think I'll like it more because it's focused on Cordy and Buffy. So how can I not absolutely love that episode? That is one that I definitely want to rewatch. Band Candy was a genius. I loved it. I love the humor. I feel like it had the season 1 humor that I loved so much. I feel like Band Candy really like milked upon that. I love using this expression, but I hate it so much. I don't even know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I literally cannot find a substitution. I have used it so many times at this point. But Band Candy was great, and we got to see Ethan again. I'm waiting for him to come back. He really feels like the sort of character who pops in once in a while, and he's like, yeah, I exist, don't forget about me. So it was really cool to see him. And to also see Snyder. Like, we got to see everybody that episode, and it was pretty freaking cool. Revelations, that was a really intense one, and like I said, the Faith foreshadowing is just really good. Lover's Walk, one of my favorite ones from this season, absolutely no criticism. I love Spike. The Wish was also super super fun, super interesting. I really could have never imagined they would do something like it, which just makes it so exciting. What else? Yeah, I feel like the rest of the episodes, Gingerbread, also heard that there's some criticism. I thought it was great. Helpless definitely switched the entire tone of the show almost for me. It changed things so much now that I know that these people who sort of seem to dictate the rules shouldn't actually be able to do it because these rules are bullshit. And so I feel like that really just changes the way that you see things. And so I think Helpless was such an important episode. The Zeppo, I've already said my formal apology to that episode, so I'm gonna just Bad Girls, one of the best ones. So freaking good. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I should go through the rest. I feel like the things that I wanted to say. Oh, but I do have something to say though about storylines. I'm just going through the rest of the list, but I feel like I've already made my comments on those episodes. I don't have anything else to say except for praise. The only things that I wanted to point out were the problems that I had with the first two. But another problem that I had was Angel's coming back. Because now that I think back on it, we never really got any sort of explanation other than what the explanation Jenny gave him in Amends, saying that the reason that he was back was so that because the forces of like evil or whatever brought him back. Okay, I'm okay with that answer as long as it's like actually the truth. But what Buffy brought up is that like she's probably just lying. And so is she lying? Is she saying the truth? The fact that they left it open-ended, I don't like that because I really wanted a reason, an explanation as to how he was able to come back. And honestly, I genuinely don't care what it is. If the reason was that there was a button like back to Earth and he clicked it, that's fine as long as there was a reason. But right now, it's like they completely ignored the rational thought that would go into like bringing him back, and they were like, let's bring him back. Like, I don't know, like I was hoping for a reason, spent the entire season like hoping for it. I guess I sort of forgot about it for a while, and so now is when I'm thinking back. I wish they would have explained a little bit more the Angel situation, and I'm definitely disappointed by the fact that he came back so early, and they, to me, they sort of ruined the surprise by leaving him in the credits. And I'm not sure the legal aspects of it, but personally, just like how they kept, didn't they add, I think it was Jesse, his name, right? Everybody was mentioning that they had him in the credits for the pilots so that we would be surprised that such a big character was killed or something. I wish they would have not included David in the first 3 episodes at least, because then when he came back in Faith's episode in 303, we would be so shocked because we would have really assumed that he died. But the moment where you start 301 and his names are on the credits, you know that he's still gonna be there. So it takes away all that fun. Okay, I guess it's time for some season 4 predictions, which I'm sure are going to be super wrong and really fun, and I have not given this any thought at all. But the one thing that I did think about is that there are going to be 2 like empty spaces in the credits because Charisma's leaving and David's leaving. So I'm guessing they're gonna need 2 characters to substitute them. My gut says that one of them is going to be a new character that I haven't met, I want to say, and one of them I guess is going to be like somebody gets upped to series regular, kind of how they did to Oz. And so if you had asked me this a few episodes ago, I guess I would have said Faith. I would be very certain that Faith would be the one to be upped to series regular. But to me, it feels like Faith is going to be gone for a while. Even though that's what I said about Angel, I was so certain that they were going to deprive us of Angel, and then they didn't. Like, they brought him back so quickly that maybe they're gonna do the same thing to Faith and bring her back quickly. But personally, I feel like Faith hurt me so much, and of course she started making up for it, but I'm okay with spending some time away from her. I feel like everybody is, and so I guess I'm not expecting her to come back immediately. I feel like she's probably gonna come back around the middle of the season. That's when we're gonna get to see Faith again, so I don't think she's the one who's gonna get up to the credits. But I'm starting to think it's gonna be Anya. Because it feels like she's setting up something with Xander, and she's, sticking around. It feels like she can go to university with them. It makes sense. And so I guess the new name on the credit is going to be Anya's. And I just realized I don't know the actress's name. I guess I'm gonna find out if she actually makes it to the credits. So I'm expecting that, and I guess for the other person, I'm expecting a new character. I feel like because we're going to be switching around things so much and we're getting, they're presenting us to something so different, I guess I'm assuming we're going to be meeting different characters. I am only aware of one more character that comes into the show, which, guys, if you're watching this, you've already finished Buffy, right? Because if you haven't, then please don't watch this, I guess. But I know that there's a character called, oh my god, I forgot her name. That's not great. Willow's girlfriend, Tara. Anyways, that girl's gonna come in, but I have the feeling that she's not coming in yet. She really feels like she's something of like the last season or so. Like, I don't think we're ready to meet her yet, and so I do think we're gonna be meeting a different character. I don't think it's her, but I feel like this is the point where they have an excuse to present us to different characters that are gonna sort of be parts of the show, because we're getting to figure out a different setting, and so it's the perfect moment. And so I think we're going to be meeting a few different smaller characters, like the ones that we were slowly presented to since season 1, like Larry and all those people. And I also think that maybe we're going to be meeting one big character that's just going to stick around with us for the ride. So I'm excited, and I could totally be wrong, but that's sort of what it feels like to me. I feel like maybe that character is going to be like a new Cordy, you know what I mean? Somebody who was not involved in the supernatural and then suddenly is hanging out with them and is like, oh, is this like some supernatural stuff? And then boom, she's like dragged in. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Season 4 feels like it's going to be so different, you know what I mean? Because I can't imagine a way that it wouldn't be different. And just saying goodbye to the library is a really weird concept for me. I feel like whenever I think of Buffy, the one image I have in my head is of them in the library. The fact that it was destroyed is kind of heartbreaking, and so I'm excited to see what new settings they're gonna use because I feel like they wouldn't go down the route of having the university library. That would be so easy and like predictable. And so I'm curious to see what their new headquarters is going to be. I feel like maybe it's going to be away from the university. Like I don't know. What if one of their dorms or something? Like I don't know, but I'm really excited to see how the change in the setting is going to change the tone of the show too. In regards to the monster, it was very interesting for me to notice that they actually had set up the season 3 big bad in season 2 because we found out about the mayor and becoming. And so it was very interesting, thinking back on it, that we had a hint towards who it was. And so I want to say that, the Buffy writers are so smart that I have a feeling that the season 4 villain, whoever it may be, will have been hinted in season 3 and maybe it just went over my head. And the only one I can think of, just because I was talking about her this episode, no, like this video, is Drusilla. But I don't think they're ready to bring Drusilla in as a villain. It doesn't feel like they will. I would love it, but like they forgot about her for so long that I don't think they will. But I definitely think that the season 4 villain has got to be somebody really interesting and somebody we possibly already know. I don't know, but I'm definitely excited. I'm trying to think of like predictions, but like who could it be? Who could it be? Like maybe one of the monsters that we saw in this season, but it feels like she killed them all. I I don't know. It's definitely gonna be super weird to have, the angel division. Like I want to know. I don't know if this is gonna make things more confusing in my head, given my angel knowledge. If it's gonna make things make more sense, but I have to say that it's gonna be really interesting to actually see these stories divide now. Because I think they set it up pretty well, and these later episodes, everything made sense, and so I guess we get to know that Angel's leaving and all those things. I am curious about Wes. My I know that he goes to Angel because he's not in the first episode, I think. I assumed he was only going to come in like season 2 or so. Maybe he just wasn't in the first episode and comes in right after. But I don't get the feeling that he does. I think Wes is only going to appear maybe in season 2 of Angel, which technically would make me believe that he would be a part of Buffy season 4, but I don't think Wes is coming back to Buffy. It feels weird, but I think this is all we've seen of Wes and Buffy because the way that of course he came back to help, but ultimately he wants to leave. He sort of feels like he has to, and so I know that he stuck around to help them out with the graduation and like the ascension, but I don't see a reason for him to stay. I have a hard time imagining how he's gonna fit into the dynamic in season 4. So I don't think he will. And so maybe this means that we're gonna be without seeing Wes for a while, and that makes me sad because I really love him and I really want to see him, but it's not looking too great for him. So yeah, I think Wes is gonna be gone. I think Faith's gonna be gone. Does this mean we can bring Spike and Drew back? Because I know that I said I thought they were gonna be MIA, but would eventually come back. So I guess are we switching it around and then the next season we get Faith and Wes back? Is this the sort of trades that y'all are going for? I'm definitely excited to see how they're gonna set up and when they're gonna set up the monster, like the big bad. It definitely feels like this season I am expecting them, especially in the beginning, to really focus on the monsters of the week, to really have something very season 1 style of presenting us to this new reality. They have to do like some world building all over again, and I think that's why I have compared season 1 to season 4 already a few times. I have a feeling it's gonna have a similar vibe, of them settling in and getting to fight these monsters and, that kind of thing. But I'm really excited to actually see them, like, in classrooms and just university and, like, working on getting their degrees. This is gonna be fun. I feel like they're gonna, the settings, I feel like there are just gonna be so many new things that I'm excited to see. In regards to specific characters and what I'm expecting for them in the next season, I think Buffy's really gonna be working on like getting through her heartbreak. She feels very heartbroken right now. I think she's probably going to eventually date an actual human being sometime in this season, which is going to be exciting. They kind of did that a little bit with Scott, but he was a dick. We don't talk about that. He ditched her before homecoming. He deserves nothing. So I still think we're going to get to see her try a little bit of like the normal side of things, which is going to be cool. I think that, just like the other characters, we're gonna get to see her adapt to college life. I think Buffy is kind of gonna thrive on it. It really feels like she will because sometimes she studies, sometimes she doesn't, and so I feel like studying things that she actually enjoys can help her out, even though she might be bored in the first year going through like all the requirements and stuff. But I think college is gonna do Buffy some good, just like I think college is gonna do Xander some good, and they'll be able to just become better versions of themselves, like learn about themselves. I'm expecting a lot of character development this season. I think Willow is going to also, of course, thrive because when does she not? But also, I think we're gonna get to see more of Willow being like a witch and more of her, like she was talking about her desire to help people. So I think we're gonna definitely focus on that. And I guess Xander too, obviously, because of how he's gonna fit in. I don't know. This is so hard. I think Giles has gotta get some other storyline that doesn't revolve around the kids because they kind of gave him that with Jenny, and so it's been a while because then they gave us Wes, I guess, which was sort of a Giles storyline. So I think they're gonna have to give us something to keep Giles sort of entertained while they're at college. I think Giles is gonna. I don't know how he's gonna come with them because I feel like he can't just be a librarian at college. That would be a little bit basic, but I also don't know what other job he can do. Does he move closer to the college and actually get a job at a bookshop or something like that, which is going to be their new headquarters? I don't know, maybe something along those lines, but I think that Giles is definitely sort of going to come with rather than staying at like close to the school or whatever, which isn't even a school anymore. It's so hard for me to make predictions, especially right now when I know that everything is going to be so different that it's hard for me to actually think of what things could be. But I guess I'm just mostly really excited to see who these potentially new characters are going to be, how our characters are going to fit into the college world. Maybe we're going to get to meet some sort of a teacher. Maybe a teacher can sort of become an important character. Maybe Giles teaches at college. What could he teach? He can teach. I don't know what, but he can. Like English manners or something. I feel like Giles could maybe become a teacher. That could be really interesting. Yeah, I think those would have to be my not so strong predictions for season 4. Everything is probably going to be really different. That is my one thing. And so that makes me excited but scared to watch because I feel like it's got to have a different vibe. I've already said that before. This is about it. I'm so sorry. I've been rambling for a while now, but that's what you're all are here to see, I guess. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in season 4, which is very exciting, and in Angel. Thank you all so much for sticking with me for another great season, and I hope I will see you all in the next one. So thank you so much, and big hugs.